And hello and welcome to everybody from Las Vegas, Nevada. It is good to be here, and I am so lonely. Oh my gosh. My wife and I, we are great company for each other, but man, no contact with other people. So here's the scoop on our live streams going forward for the foreseeable future. I watched several live streams and some content over the past several days, and most of it was ganky and junked and having problems, and that's because of the demand. Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus, etc., they all stream about somewhere between 1 and 6 megabits per second, depending on if you're doing high def or no. And everybody's working from home, and VPNs and video conferencing. And so the last live stream we did, it got messed up. It went 23 minutes, and I could not reconnect to the video server at YouTube. So I thought to myself, after talking with a few people, how do I continue to drive this channel and provide value and be able to make sure that the content is not only heard but also stored? And the idea that was given to me from a fellow at CBT Nuggets, his name is Jake, he said, Keith, why don't you just record it, do a live stream, you just shower, get ready, do a live stream as if you're doing a live stream, but record it, and then just upload it afterwards. That way you can be sure that it doesn't get broken or chunked up or bad video or bad audio as a result of internet latency as during a live stream. So that's what I did today. So I set my alarm clock. It's now 11:01 Pacific time, and Subnet Saturday. So I set my target for 9 a.m. local time. I got my shower, did my prep work, planned my subnets. And then I did a presentation just like I'm doing now, talking with you in this live stream, and I just recorded it. And then after it was done, I said to myself, Keith, that's sometimes what I call myself. I said, Keith, no editing, because it's tempting. It's tempting to go back and I could snip this, and said, nope, if it was a live stream, you wouldn't be editing it. Just start, create. And so it was about an hour long. I uploaded it about, somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes ago. And then I scheduled this live stream because I still want to chat. I want to connect and be able to answer any questions and say hi, make sure you're doing okay, and offer my support and all that good stuff. If you have questions regarding CCNA or anything else for that matter, regarding Cisco CCNA level content. And so that's what I did. It felt pretty good. So I did it from 9 to 10 a.m. I then uploaded it, made a card for it, and then I posted this live chat for 11 a.m., which is what we're in now. And there's like a few people here, so that's great. Fantastic. Good to have you. So I'm not going to repeat all the technical stuff I did about packet tracer and variable length subnet masking and taking on this project. So all that's in the video. This Q&A that we're going to have just for you and I'm not going to keep it up on YouTube. It's just going to be for us. So after we have this later today, I'll go and make sure it's not available, just so that the content will be there. But this Q&A all by itself might be a little weird for somebody who's looking through the content. Hey, this is a video just with Q&A on variable length subnet masks. So that's my intent. I'm also open to new ideas. So let me share with you the screen. And this is the screen I used today for the demonstration. And the scenario was this. I created this lab for Chuck Keith, Network Chuck, and he is going to inject some problems next week in it for me, save it, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a live stream or recording live and walk through the solution of it. And I thought to myself, well, as part of this, I've got several subnets. This is the headquarters site. And I've got site 1 and site 2. And I'm going to use this address space of 10.67.83.0 with a 24-bit mask. And then carve off 3 different blocks of addresses. So HQ will get 10.67.83.0/26. I can write 26. And then site 1 will get the 64 subnet, or that block of addresses. And site 2 will get 128. And then in the video that I created, I simply went through the process I took of taking this block of addresses, 10.67.83.0/26, which is going to use the headquarters, and carve out a subnet for VLAN 10 that would support 14 devices. For VLAN 20, that would support 14 devices. VLAN 7, which I'm going to use as a management VLAN for managing R1, the multi-layer switches, and the 2 access layer switches that support 6. VLAN 30, that will support up to 3, and then a wide area network subnet that can support up to 3. And so to make all that work, we just did variable length subnet masking. And the key thing is we went through the steps, how to do it as a rehearsal. And then I encouraged everybody to get Packet Tracer and create the topology and lab it up. Oh, also in that video, this is a recommendation from you, from the community. Thank you very much for doing that. I also don't have it up. I'll bring it up. Let me bring up another window. Give me a moment. All right, there we go. DuckDuckGo. Let's go to YouTube. Oh, not YouTube. Let's go to thekeithbarker.com. So here at this website, thekeithbarker.com, I also included, if you just go to thekeithbarker.com and then scroll down, I'm going to not subscribe. I'm not going to sign up for my own mailing list. Here is the file, Cisco PT IPv4 subnets, this bad boy right here. So you just click on this. It'll download this actual file that I'm using. This is the whole lab I created for Chuck Keith to do troubleshooting, or to inject troubleshooting. And I thought it'd be handy. That way, if you want to download it, get using Packet Tracer and open it up, then you can just verify IP addresses and the subnetting and how it all works on a Packet Tracer lab. And then here's the Packet Tracer lab itself. This is the exact one that you can download from that site. All right, so that's what I walked through. It took a little less than an hour to do that. It was a lot of fun. And what I'd like to do now is, if you have any questions you'd like to ask about VLSM or subnetting, anything in the Subnet Saturday framework would be great, or anything in the CCNA realm would be fine as well. I'd be happy to take those questions. All right, and I'm going to scroll up to the top, and going forward, if you have a question for me, I know there's Murray and Gus and Darshan and a lot of others are answering questions for people, which is great. Thank you very much for supporting our fellow humans here. If you have a question for me specifically, just do an @KeithBarker, so it selects my name, and then you can put it in. That way I can make sure I don't miss your question. All right. And yeah, it's incredible times we're going through. It's amazing. Norman's in the Bermuda Islands. Nice. Glad to have you here. Trini's from New York. Alejandro saying hello. Walter's in Canada. Great to have you here. Dennis is in Bogota, Colombia. Welcome, welcome. Malaysia's in the house. Yes. And let's see who else. Murray, I mentioned. Texas, Houston, Texas. Welcome. The official RMB, Robert Bolden Sr., is in Texas. Glad you're here. Nicholas is in Belgium. Oh my gosh. This is fantastic. Jack says hi. And Demetrio says, hi, everyone. Hope everyone is in good health and taking care of the family. And, taking the steps, although it seems pretty drastic and, not fun, we got to do the best we can do, including following the rules in the country or the region that you live in, a little bit of social distance, washing your hands consistently. My hands have never been so washed all the time, and hopefully we can avoid getting it. I also got my hair cut before in Nevada. The governor did a lockdown and said basically every non-essential business as of tomorrow, this was on Monday, I think he said it, is closed. So I got my hair cut the last day that businesses were open. It was before our live stream. I think maybe on Tuesday. Maybe it happened I got my haircut on Tuesday. Anyway, I got it cut because it may be a while. All right, Singapore. Singapore is asking, and Demetrio is from New Jersey. Hi, Demetrio. Okay, Singapore is asking, hi, Keith, is your CCNA wireless course going to be removed? And what's the difference between the CCNA wireless and this? So let me just confirm, on CBT Nuggets, which is my full-time gig, it's a paid site. It's not free. The whole master playlist that I'm making for YouTube, these sessions and streams, they're in the master playlist. They're free. Have at it. There's a lot of other great free resources as well. I have a CCNA wireless course that I made many years ago at CBT Nuggets. It's still in the archives if you want to watch it. Still very relevant regarding how wireless LAN controllers work and access points and so forth. And so if you're asking about, are we going to keep that at CBT Nuggets? Yeah, they're just going to keep it in the archive. And so they're probably going to change the description so that people will know, hey, there's no CCNA wireless anymore, but the technology still works. Extensible authentication protocol and CCNA wireless LAN controllers and CapWAP, all those protocols still work like they did. So it's still going to be there. And This channel is focused on a smattering of CCNA topics that I think would be helpful for people to use. And I would hope that this channel can be one resource that a person can use in addition to whatever books or other study material they have to go ahead and better understand the technologies and the topologies that we deal with basic networking, the fundamentals. And Packet Tracer is a great free tool that most people should be considering. All right. Okay. Great. Ed Torres says hello. And let me make sure my mouse just skipped. 1 second. All right. And Coral Springs is in the house from Michael. Thank you. Are multi-layer switches included in CCNA? And I would say that the blueprint talks about routing, and it talks about switching and routing between VLANs. So the actual whether or not we do it with a physical router routing between VLANs, or whether we do it with a internal layer 3 function like a switched virtual interfaces on a multi-layer switch, either way is fair game. And even if we're not doing multi-layer switching, our switches are still going to have a management interface VLAN X. And so knowing what a switched virtual interface is and how that operates and whether we enable routing or not is another story. But I would say, Hamzix is asking the question, be aware of it. And check this out. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's pretty straightforward if you've done it a couple times. And this is an example of a multi-layer switch right here. Multi-layer switch 1 and 2 are both MLSs, multi-layer switches. And if we bring them up, we can think, well, are you a switch or are you a router? And the answer is it can do both. So if we're interested in switching on this multi-layer switch, we can do a show MAC address table. And that will show us the MAC addresses that it knows. So it knows about this MAC address that it learned on its gig 1/0/23 interface. And I wonder if that's this PC. Let's find out. So on this PC, if we go to the desktop, there's other ways of doing it too, but if you do an IP config /all with a P in there, its MAC address ends in 9DC. Oh, that's the link. Hold on a second. Yeah, there you go. Physical address. 0D9C is the last address. And if we go back to this guy, that's not it. So let's send some traffic from this PC. And what we should see is that MAC address is going to be learned on this multi-layer switch. So let's go to that PC and do a ping. We'll generate some traffic to 23.1.2.2, which is the server down here in this topology. I'm really hoping this works. Okay, there we go. So along the way, because it's IPv4, we had some ARP entries that were not yet learned. They had to be dynamically learned, and so that's where we lost a couple. If we did this again, we should get 4 out of 4. Yep. So if we go back to this multi-layer switch, and we do a show MAC address table, yeah, there we go. Wait a sec, I still don't see him. Hold on a second. I don't see it. Now I'm curious. Let's go back to this PC. Its MAC address is ipconfig/all, ends in 0D9C. Okay. 0D9C. And I don't see that here. Let's go see if it's on switch 2. So it depends on how spanning tree is forwarding that traffic. So we'll do a CLI, show MAC address table. And I'm going to send some more traffic. So that traffic is definitely going somewhere. Oh, there it is. 0D9C. That was it right there. Okay, so it has these switches in Packet Tracer, it appears, have a very short timeout for learning and forgetting about the MAC addresses. So that's the MAC address. And what we could do is we could troubleshoot that and say where it's going. Now, to answer your question about do we need to be aware of, multi-layer switches, the answer is yes. Because this switch right here, we just looked at layer 2 functionality, but we did a show IP interface brief. Here are its layer 3 interfaces, and these just operate like any other layer 3 interface on a physical router, except they're called VLAN interfaces, logically one SVI for each VLAN. And if we do a show IP route for OSPF learned routes, because I'm running OSPF, here's the routing table that this multi-layer switch knows about if it needs to forward packets. So from PC1, if we did a trace, and we went out to 23.1.2.2, which is the server down here, this will show us the path it's going through. So the first hop router was this guy, which is a multi-layer switch. Then it went to 43, which is probably R1. Let's check. Yeah, that's R1 owns that IP address of .43, and then the last hop was this server right here. So it went through NAT as well. So here on R1, we're using NAT. So if we look at R1 and go to the CLI and do a show IP NAT translations, there's the actual translations for that ICMP traffic. And if we went back to the PC and we said, instead of going to a command prompt, let's go to a browser, and then went to 23.1.2.2, which is the server again. Now, if we went back to this router who's doing that, now we have some TCP traffic as well. So the cool thing, the really cool thing about using Packet Tracer and building a lab, I just built this from scratch on Monday, was to help remember the technologies and how to integrate them. And once you get the whole thing working, it's fantastic. And the other thing too is if pieces don't work, like, why isn't that working? Gives us a chance to dig in. Why isn't that working? Oh, I forgot to put the access port in the right VLAN, or I forgot to set the default gateway, or I set up DHCP and I didn't put in the wrong default gateway in the pool. A lot of things that could go on. So as far as multi-layer switches, you definitely want to be aware of what they are, how they work. Thanks for the question. All right, moving on. All right, Kevin, Nate is from Coral Springs. Welcome, Nate. Glad to have you here. And Kevin is from Johannesburg, South Africa. Fantastic. And Steve is from New York. And so great to have everybody here. And John's saying, I'm glad you're here. Looking forward to the streams. So again, the stream is to focus on the Q&A, and I'm going to continue to record the content before and just publish it. That way it's got a nice clean delivery option as opposed to being broken up. It's very frustrating when we spend a lot. Well, like any of us spent time on creating something, we want it to provide lots of value, and that's my objective here. All right. And Gus is in Costa Rica. All right, good to have you here. All right, let's see here. There's also the Discord server. I put the link in the video there as well, so you can jump on Discord if you have questions. Also, I had a chance to chat with one a member of our community who's having surgery. I think it was going to be yesterday, Friday, on his neck. So my best wishes out there. My thoughts are with you, and looking forward to your recovery. He's going to spend a couple, I think, months in recovery, and so that'll give him plenty of time to study. As long as he can have enough support for his neck so it doesn't hurt. So it's always great. Also in Discord, I had never used it before, but it's you, this community, that said, hey, get a Discord server. So we did. And I had the ability to chat with him in a voice room for a few minutes. He had a question on host bits and subnetting. I thought I was online, I had a few minutes. I thought this is going to be a lot faster to answer that way. So I said, hey, join me in the voice room. We just clicked a couple buttons and we could talk to each other, and I was able to answer his question. So I'm open to doing that from time to time if it makes sense. And also if you've studied something. if I know that you've studied something, you're like, I've got this really interesting question regarding CCNA level topics, and I've looked at it, I'm not sure how this works, and here's what if you've put the due diligence in studying something, I am super excited to step in and maybe take you to the next step beyond that to help resolve a question you had or something about that technology if I'm available. So I'm open to that as well. All right. Jadgo is saying, I really appreciate your content. Thank you. You're welcome. I appreciate you saying that. I got my Network Plus following your CBT Nuggets videos. Fantastic. Going to start on the new CCNA next. Great. If you're using CBT Nuggets content, it's 52 hours of wonderfulness. It's Jeremy Chara, Network Chuck, and myself, and it's very thorough. It's more than what you'll need to pass the exam, and it's got labs. So enjoy that content live at CBT Nuggets. And if you're not signed up, you can also get a trial if you want. But there's lots of other resources available. It doesn't really matter to me what resource you use, as long as you get one that works for you. And hopefully whatever that is, you can use this channel to help augment that and reinforce concepts. All right. Dan is saying hello. Great. And Bhavik is saying hello from India. Fantastic. Glad you're here as well. Glad everyone's here, frankly. And let's see here. All right. Dimitrios stating, good afternoon. I have a question. When I do some topologies. Sometimes I can't connect router with switch and PC, even though the auto wire. Oh, I have packet tracer 7.3. So it looks like I have. Sometimes I can't connect router with a switch, even with the auto option. Let's take a look at that. Great question. Let's do that. So let me bring up another router. So if you're new to packet tracer, you can get this from netacad.com. I am currently using, I'm going to go to help and about. I'm using version 7.3 and a little bit of change there. And also if you download the file from the keithbarker.com, it's, if you have a more current version of packet tracer, it can read older files. But if you have an older version of packet tracer, sometimes it doesn't work with newer files as the format changes slightly. So make sure you're running the latest version. Also, if you have a lot of work done in older versions of packet tracer, the newer versions are backwards compatible. So you can go to 7.3 and still read your files that you made with 7.2 or 7.0. So the question was, if I have another device like this router right there, and just dragging it up. So clicked on network devices, routers, and oh, what kind of router is that? Oh, I don't want that one. So I'm going to click on this little hold on a second. Careful, Keith. I'm going to click somewhere free so it's not selecting anything. Click on this tool up here. Make sure you can see that. The little backspace character. And then you get this X of death, and then you can click on stuff and delete it. When you're done, go back to the selector tool so you're not going to keep on deleting things. So to add a router, I'm going to go down here to network devices, and then below router, and then I'm going to grab a 2911 and just drag and drop it. So there's my 2911. And using the auto connect tool, it's this lightning bolt right here in the bottom left hand corner. And this is the auto select tool. If we hover over that, it simply says what it is. Oh, why isn't it saying? Huh. So I'm clicking on it. It's now showing it to me. In the bottom here, it says automatically choose connection type. And the black line is a straight through cable. The dotted line is a crossover cable. And the this blue one here is a console cable. So if we wanted to console to a device, you could from a PC, for example. But if we click on the auto connect tool like this, and then you click on the router, and then you click on the router you want to connect it to, it's going to auto select the ports. And to see the ports, I have mine turned off. You can go to view and, or excuse me, go to options, and then go to preferences. And in preferences, you can specify whether or not, let me make sure this is on the screen, whether or not we're showing the port labels. So that's with port labels, that's without port labels. And it should make a connection for you. So if it's, I've never had it where it wouldn't do it. If you don't have any ports left, if you have a router with no ports left, you just go add more ports. So you take the router, click on it, this is the physical view, and we're going to power it off with that little power button right there. And then I'm going to add another module. Bonk. So I'll make this bigger. Zoom in. So if you're out of ports, that would be one reason why you can't add more things to it. So I haven't had that experience personally where I couldn't add something, but right here they're both, the indicator, the LED indicator says, hey, these are down. Why is that? It's because router interfaces by default are shut down. So we'd have to go to both sides because they're back-to-back crossover connected and do a no shut, and that would go ahead and allow those interfaces to come up respectively. Also, if it doesn't work, you might want to consider, I mean, it sounds trite, but save the project, shut it down, bring it back up, and give it another shot. But that would be, so that's Dimitri. Hopefully that gives you some guidance on maybe getting that working. All right, Mohammed's asking or stating, I would like to take the full course for CCNA. So does the full course, is it available at CBT Nuggets or only cover a few topics? The CBT Nuggets course, and this isn't well, I guess it is now a commercial for CBT Nuggets. The course at CBT Nuggets is 52 hours in length, and Jeremy Chara, myself, and Network Chuck, we covered every aspect of that blueprint, bullet by bullet, and it's in order, with labs for many of it, or for much of it. So if there's something that says be able to configure this, usually there's a lab that has you configure it. So it's very complete. Yeah, it's very, very thorough, and the feedback I've gotten is that it's going to more than prepare you enough to pass the exam. Also, along the way, you'll learn it. So that's our primary objective. Thanks for the question. All right. Aman's asking, so what I have to do, I'm I'm not sure what that question is. If you want to rephrase that, that's from Aman. I'd be happy to take that again if I could just get it worded slightly differently so I can make sure I understand the question. A lot of people from Florida, from the UK. It's great. From Portugal, from South Africa. So good, so good. Okay. Norman is stating, as a result of the realities everyone needs to practice during this crisis, will there be a delay with CBT Nuggets delivering CCNP Encore material? I don't think so. We're sequestered, so that means we have more time to create it. So let me give you an update on that. So at CBT Nuggets, I'm just finishing my portion of Encore, which is the 350-401 exam. It's the core exam as part of one of the CCNP tracks for enterprise routing and switching. And yesterday, I finished COP, which is Control Plane Policing. Had a lot of fun with that. I have a lab built in. So with Control Plane Policing, there's the data plane, there's the management plane, and there's the control plane. The control plane is how routers learn, like routing updates, packets they need to process themselves. They can't, it's not part of this Cisco Express Forwarding moving of packets. It's actually a packet that has to involve the CPU on the router. And so what we can do with Control Plane Policing is we can set up policies using the modular Quality of Service Command Line Interface, MQC, and we can identify traffic with class maps, set up policy maps, say what we want to do to that traffic, and then apply, with the service policy command, apply those policy maps to either interfaces or logically to the control plane. And that way, when two routers are getting beat to death by an attacker with malicious attacks trying to consume all the CPU, one's going to say, nope, too much, I'm not going to even look at that, while the other one's going to just be fully consumed. So Control Plane Policing, I just finished that yesterday. I've got one last piece regarding a little bit of access control list, a little above and beyond what we did in CCNA, and then I'm done with my part. And then I may be asked to do a little bit more. We have 5 trainers doing CCNP 350-401, the Encore. And so I'm just one of 5. So it's Chuck Keith, Network Chuck, and Jeremy Chara, and Knox Hutchinson, and Jeff Kish, also double CCIA, and myself. And I don't think it's going to slow us down. I think if nothing else, it's going to speed us up because we've got more time, less distractions. I think. Maybe we'll see. So anyway, that's an update on Encore from CBT Nuggets. Stay tuned to CBT Nuggets Social, and they'll post when that's going to be available. All right. Murray is stating, is it good to use the Auto Connect tool? We need to know what types of cable to use and important why. So great. Murray, spot on. Great question. Great comment. And here's what I would say for a person who is new. If you're working with a network topology and you haven't, it's important to learn about the cable types that are required. A lot of gear does have auto MDIX, MDIX, which automatically senses the send and receive wire pairs and automatically makes a flip if you have the wrong cable. If you have 2 like devices, meaning two end devices, that could be 2 PCs or a PC and a server or a router, anything that's expecting to connect to a switch, if you connect them back to back together, we're going to use a crossover cable. So in unshielded twisted pair, there are 8 wires, 4 pairs in like Cat6 cable, and it's pins 1, 2, 3, and 6. And so instead of having them go straight through from one side to the other, we